Hey guys, Dan McGuire, your Canmore Cochrane Realtor here. Today I wanted to break down my most recent blog article where I really wanted to talk to potential clients about some of the key things I find. I'm always talking to people who are curious about investing in Canmore real estate, specifically short-term rentals, things that they're always asking me and kind of maxims that I find are always proving to be true in our marketplace. So let's go ahead and break down these 7 things that I find I'm always providing key info on. Number 1 is that enduring features are what will create an amazing investment property. This is something that is always so true. It's true of real estate really everywhere. And that's that some features can't be added no matter what. So I always think back to a story when I had a client. We were looking at a row of 4 townhouses. He had the opportunity to buy either a corner unit or one of the center units. And he said, Dan, the end unit is $50,000 more, but all it has is just an additional wall of windows. Do you think it's worth it? And I said, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, for any amount of money in the world, you're not going to be able to add a wall of windows to this property, not even for $1 million. So if you can afford it now, being able to have those unchangeable, enduring features is always going to be the best thing you can do for your property. Same goes for, the orientation, the way it faces, if it's facing south versus if it's facing north in terms of light, views, or for a condo, the location it is in the building. You'll never be able to pick that condo up and move it somewhere else 10, 20, 30 years from now. So always go for compelling features. They're definitely going to make your property stand out against other properties. All things being equal, if you were coming to stay at an Airbnb in Canmore, you're going to pick the one with the amazing mountain view versus the one that doesn't have it if you're given the opportunity to book and the price is the same. So you'll always have that enduring feature. Number 2 is see beyond the current styling. In my article, I include some really great photos of an Airbnb property a client of mine had. They purchased it. It was still an original, 2009 dated condition. And they put a ton of money and time and effort into a beautiful renovation and new decor and furniture that really paid off in terms of the revenue the property could generate, and then also when they turned around to sell it. So I think this is kind of the flip side of those enduring features that you can't change, and this is the features that, hey, you can change. So if it's got that beautiful view, if it's got that great footprint, but maybe it's a bit dated inside, there's a ton you can do just by changing finishes and decor. And again, check out my blog post to see those amazing photos. The next thing that I find is always true about these investment properties in the Canmore market is buyers need to not think in terms of dollars per square foot. This is something that we see all the time on all those real estate shows, and Selling Sunset, they're talking about dollars per square foot for some of these homes. But dollars per square foot, one thing I always find I'm saying is that not all square feet are created equal. So when we judge properties in terms of dollars per square foot, we're not taking into account things like views, things like orientation, outdoor space, as well as like interior updates and things like that. And some square feet are just kind of dead square footage that doesn't add anything to your property. So for instance, usually most investors and property managers are looking for is more heads in beds equals more revenue. So a 2-bedroom versus a 3-bedroom, the 3-bedroom is always going to perform better. But when it comes to 2 bedrooms, is a 1,200 square foot 2-bedroom necessarily that much better than an 800 square foot 2-bedroom? And the answer is maybe. Some of that square footage might just be dead space in hallways and entryways and things like that. And while it can improve the experience of the guest, and obviously if it's a great layout, it's going to lead to a better footprint and a better feeling property. But ultimately, you might just be paying more property tax and condo fee for dead square footage. And again, all things being equal, I would take the property that's a little bit smaller, but it's got the view versus the property that doesn't, even if it's a bit bigger. So not all square feet are created equal, and they're mostly good for comparing properties that are highly, highly comparable for dollars per square foot. So the fourth item in the article I like to talk about was location, location, location. I have a lot of people call me and maybe they've never visited Canmore, or maybe they're just not really aware of how our zoning works. The majority of these properties are located in just a few key locations: Kananaskis Way, Bow Valley Trail, Railway Avenue, and Spring Creek. So when you're comparing a property that's a short-term rental, it's more often about the location within the resort where it is versus its location within Canmore. Canmore is a really small town. Everything is walkable. Even if a property is slightly further than a property that's slightly closer, and that's just in terms of all these short-term rental properties, that additional walk might even be a benefit. Like it might be a beautiful walk, and people are inclined to pay more for it. So being closer to the action is not necessarily that important, but for building and resort location, most of these properties are very, very equivalent. The only location that I'd say is dramatically different would be properties like Dead Man's Flats and Harvey Heights. I've written about this a few times. You can also see on my blog. But Harvey Heights and Dead Man's Flats, they're B markets to Canmore, so they don't have all of the things that people are coming to Canmore to enjoy. So shops, restaurants, trails. So guests are going to be driving, 10 minutes just to come and have dinner, unless they want to eat at the gas station. So again, all things being equal, on those softer holidays, let's say like Valentine's Day, if you were going to come out with your partner for a lovely evening, you're not going to book the place in Harvey Heights when you can book the same place in Canmore that's comparable at the same price. And again, you can't pick that property up and move it for however much money you want to pay down the line. So the next thing is that Canmore is a very, very small marketplace. Canmore is about 5,500 dwellings, so this is not a huge city like Calgary or Edmonton or Toronto. There's not thousands of listings to comb through. When I wrote the article about a week ago, there was about 98 listings of all kinds on the market. In terms of short-term rentals, only 14 were zoned for short-term rentals, so we're about 14% of the marketplace. Zeroing in even further, if we were to look at two-bedroom properties for less than $1 million, pretty normal search, we had 9 properties. So not a ton of options to choose from. And then from those 9 properties, you got to decide if you even like any of them or if they are, properly priced and appealing to you. So this is a very, very small marketplace, and we're more often comparing properties directly on the market and making a choice at the time. So you just want to be prepared to watch and learn, see how the market moves, and make a choice from there. The next point is that everyone is looking for the same thing. So in this list, we broke down, hey, we want beautiful property with enduring features. We can fix it up. It's going to be beautiful. It's in a great location, and it makes sense in terms of how it's priced. Let's say we look at those 9 options that we said for those 2-bedroom properties under $1 million. There's more than 100 real estate agents in Canmore. Okay, let's say even a quarter of those agents had one buyer who was interested in the same kind of property as you. That's 25 buyers. Looking at 9 properties, maybe only half of those properties are worth it, really, and ones that people would consider. So you might have 25 buyers looking at the same 5 properties, which is very, very slim odds, and it makes competition very fierce. Now, just because that's the case, it doesn't mean that we're constantly seeing, multiple offers every day and every single property flies off the shelf. No, just because people are looking for the same thing doesn't mean they're looking at the same time, that they're ready at the same time, or that the same property with similar characteristics is appealing to everyone in the exact same way. So, even though there's a lot of people who are looking for the same thing that you are, I help people every day get properties that they love on terms that they want. So not multiple offers and paying over asking, things like that. That can happen. Usually it means you're on the right track, but it is possible to get the property that you want, even though it's a tight marketplace. And then the last thing that I talked about in the article is thinking long-term with investment properties, specifically in Canmore. Sometimes people call me and they're saying, hey, Dan, is this property going to go up in price in 6 months and things like that? And I always just encourage them that you shouldn't purchase an investment or a property for sure with anything less than, I would say, at least a 10-year time horizon. And with any investment, the longer your time horizon, the better, because then compounding can work in your favor. I'm an investor in Berkshire Hathaway, so Warren Buffett's company. I always think about his initial purchase of stock in American Express. He bought that decades ago, and today he earns more than his initial investment in dividends alone every single year. And there are people who own properties all over this country and all over Canmore who these properties generate revenue annually that repays their principal each time. Meanwhile, they've grown in price, 4-6-fold or more. So when you're working with real assets like real estate, the longer your time frame, the more things like inflation, population growth, GDP growth, and really revenue growth, right, over time, they can really increase the value of your investment. Likewise, your biggest cost today, like your mortgage, yes, it might be eating a lot of your revenue now, but on a long enough time horizon, that payment's only going to shrink, revenue's only going to expand. Hopefully your property appreciates as well, along with the market. And your investment is going to return the most the longer you happen to hold it. So that's compounding at work, which I'm a really big fan of. Thinking long-term is also, even though it's a tight marketplace and you might search for a property for 2 years, that's a really small drop in the bucket if you happen to hold the property for 30 years or intergenerationally, and you hope your kids are going to hang on to this property. Same thing, if the right property comes up at the right time, and it might be the first one you see, but it's the right one, making that decision quickly at the right time, that could be the very first step in a long journey that sets you and your family off on a really long and prosperous investment journey. So if you'd like to read a little bit more in depth about this article and some of the things I'm talking about, obviously I don't think you can cover everything with investment properties in Canmore in just a quick video here or a quick article. Check it out on my website. If you're interested or have any questions about specific properties you're seeing, about our marketplace or Canmore in general, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available via text, call, or email. No questions too small, and helping families is what I do. Thanks for watching.